Topic is a personal profile in a real sense of Richard Simon, an individual who was incarcerated in the Tennessee prison system for some 25 years. 16 of those years spent on death row. And of course, Mr. Simon, before we had our first commercial break, we promised that we would allow you to continue your discussion, and I guess you might say that now we're dealing with your troubled times that would eventually lead you into some of the problems that you had. Let's talk about it.
Okay, Doctor, as I was trying to explain that I had the best of both worlds. You know, I wasn't a dumb child. I had a lot of encouragement, so I joined Army. You know, my mom encouraged me to join Army, to get out the city, because she saw the direction I was going in. And I ended up in Army and was doing good. But it seemed like no sooner I got out of basic training, old habits reared themselves back up. Back to the drinking, drugging, staying out all night and doing stuff like that. And I got with some people who'd like to do things I like to do. And I guess with no strict foundation, we just was like running rapid, partying, drinking, like military guys, get off work, go to town, and have fun. Or so we thought was fun. And lo and behold, I got in a lot of trouble. I agreed to take part in a robbery. Because we had ran out of money for some drugs. We thought we'd go take somebody's drugs. We was Army guys, big and strong. We didn't have no money. We'd go take what we want. And we couldn't rob the place we intended to rob. And we ended up going somewhere else. And as a result of our inexperience and doing the wrong thing, I was responsible for taking someone's life in the commission of a robbery. I intended to rob someone, but when the smoke cleared, I had shot somebody during the commission of a robbery. I got caught, you know, like I say, didn't know where to run, wasn't a career criminal, so that I really got caught real fast, tried and convicted because I was guilty. I was sentenced to death row. And it was like, when they read that out to you, I know my name. They said, okay, Richard Simon, we send you to death. I asked my partner, what did they say? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't hear what I just heard. I went numb. I actually went numb, you know, and it wasn't until years later that I guess my senses of my feelings thawed out, because when they tell you they're going to execute you, you know you're guilty. That's like a pessimistic state of mind, and for me it was. And from that moment on, it's like I went into shock. You know, I was there, but I wasn't there. I said my goodbye to my family. I knew I was guilty, so I didn't think I had a chance in the snowball
of coming out.
Of coming out, because I was guilty, because I actually did what I got tried and convicted for. They sent me to TSP. I don't know how many people have seen the old prison at the walls. It was like an old castle in some parts of it. It was on a sunny day, and to me, like it was fog hanging over the prison. It was sunny driving up to the prison. When we pulled up to there, it was like a big fog was hanging over there. And I said, oh my goodness. So I went up in there, you know, they got me up in there and told me, okay, you on death row, you this and you that. They sent me to lockup. All the time now, riding up to the prison, I'm scared to death. I can't admit that to my co-defendants or to the corrections officers, because I'm there now. I'm still putting on the hits about I'm this, that, and other. But inside, every step I took, I'm thinking, oh my God, because you know, back then it was an overcrowding problem. They had like 2,000 people up in there. I've never seen so many people or brothers or big dudes in my life. You know, I'm about 160 pounds. You know what I mean? I've seen all that there. It actually frightened me, but what could I do? Who could I cry to? They carried me into Unit 6. Back then, that's where they housed the people that was on death row, Unit 6. It was like a tomb, because I had never been to prison before. They carried me through the gate. It had 4 walks, and they put me on one walk. It was like opening up a gas chamber, for lack of a better explain it. They put you on a walk. I had never been to prison before. I was a first-time offender. And there I went. All the sounds, all this, all that there, you know. I'm trying to be polite and this, that, and other. Everybody else, rowdy. So I'm going through that, trying to adjust. But all the time, I'm thinking, they're going to kill me. You know what I mean? They're going to kill me. Everybody telling me, man, you on death row, yada, yada, yada. And so that played a strong part of my mind, because in prison, for most people, image is everything. You know what I mean? It's not who you are, it's how you represent yourself. So I carried on like I was a tough guy. Yeah, I'm this, I'm that, and I'm that. But at night, many nights, I cried myself to sleep thinking they gonna execute me. You know, my mom was afraid that she had done something to lead me to prison. I'm trying to tell her, no, I done it to myself, Mom, so don't you blame yourself. I couldn't blame nobody. You know, a lot of people be in prison, they say, oh, I'm innocent. I couldn't get on the bars and say that. So I had to deal with my situation off the bat. And first you get angry, you rebel, and that kind of stuff. And eventually it sets in that I'm gonna die. I'm gonna be executed, and they're gonna come pick my body up. My mom gotta come, charge remain. You know, you know, I never seen anybody executed before. I was thinking they gonna just fry me like you did a piece of meat. I didn't know. So for a lot of years, a lot of nights, that played heavy on my mind about, oh man, I'm gonna see my maker. Now, to most people who lack spirituality in life, that is the best way to get your eyes open, thinking you're going before your creator. Because there's no show, there's no peer pressure. You're trying to get some mercy. You don't want to go to hell. You know you're finna die. You don't want to go to hell. You know, you want to make sure that, okay, maybe I can get some forgiveness somewhere. And that right there, not wanting to die at 19 and 20 years old, saying I was worthless, that my whole life was over because of one bad choice, weighed on my, every day I would get up and say, oh man, one mess up and it's over. You know, and you see a lot of things in prison, the people that gave up on their life. And I knew I didn't want to give up on my life. I didn't want to be, you know, rowdy and that kind of stuff, because taking stuff got me in prison. I realized, okay, I wasn't good at being a criminal. You know, I talk fast, I knew how to do a lot of street stuff, but as for being a straight up thug, I wasn't that. You know, I'm not going to pretend that I was. So from March 1980 on, my whole life just started to change. I was trying to prepare how to die. And I was picking up skills how to live. My mother gave me a Bible. I took the Bible courses. I done all that stuff, you know, watched the 700 Club on TV, the PT, anything I could do to say, okay, man, I need to get me some strength to deal with this here. I started doing that. And back then, anytime you're on max, you got a single cell. So you're free to do what you want to do in your cell. So I was free to be who I was in my cell. Regardless of how I got out and ran my mouth when we went to the yard, in my cell I could read books, I could write letters, I could pray. All the stuff that slowly turned me around, I was able to do because, man, I was having trouble. I got tired of walking back and forth at 6x9, you know what I mean, that after using drugs on the street, couldn't afford to use drugs in prison.
Richard, let me stop this for the second commercial, and of course we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. Simon, the